we got? Evening, everybody. I'll call this meeting of the Mount Horeb Area School District Board of Education to order. Dr. Salerno, has this been properly noticed? Thank you. Do a roll call. Joel.
Here.
Leah.
Here.
Jessica.
Here.
Sarah.
Here.
Here. Jack. Here. Tom. Here. Carly.
Here.
And I'm here. We're all present. Could we stand and say
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would someone like to read our mission statement? Can I do it today? Please. Thank you.
The Mount Horeb Area School District, in partnership with the community, is dedicated to nurturing, educating, and challenging all students, preparing and empowering them to be productive, responsible, and self-fulfilled members of society.
Thank you very much. All right, we've got the agenda in front of us. Do I have a motion to approve as stated, or do we need to discuss anything?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Jessica, second by Sarah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next up is consideration of our November 17th regular and closed session board meeting minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion by Carly and a second by Tom. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Excellent. Motion passes. Dr. Salerno, would you like to lead us off with our student spotlight?
Boy, do we have it. I'm so excited. We get to recognize a middle school student, one that represents the very best of the middle school. I won't steal the thunder of Principal Christensen or Associate Principal Benedict. I'll let them introduce Marissa for us here this afternoon, and also the great teachers who come to help celebrate Marissa too.
So come on down. This is the time where you come with me. So this is Marissa Suzuki. She is an 8th grader here, and she is highly involved. Cross country, yearbook club for 3 years, Sources of Strength, which is a peer leadership group we have, Chorale, I think, which is one of our choir ensembles or our co-curriculars, and I'm probably missing some things. And one thing that I will say is that in the 10 years I've been doing a student spotlight, and there's a couple of them a year for the middle school, when I ask staff for positive comments, I don't know that I've ever gotten as much as I got. So I'm going to do my very best to summarize, because I'm sitting here on like 3.5 pages of things that your teacher said about you, all of which were just unbelievably positive. So first of all, her teachers widely described her as just exceptionally kind, inclusive, and positive. She's a student who lifts others up who are around her. She has a warm attitude each day at school, includes her classmates, and does something that can be very challenging as a middle schooler. She always chooses the right thing, even when that choice is not the easy one. Her teachers see her as a thoughtful, friendly, and someone whose quiet leadership contributes meaningfully to the classroom culture, whether she's helping a peer, building community through things like Sources of Strength, like I said, the yearbook that she's been in for 3 years, and I will tell you, Ms. Tucker couldn't be more proud of her, and just that her superb attention to detail with every project she's done within our yearbook has just been phenomenal. And she also brings a sense of humor and just simply makes this place a better school for all of us. But beyond her character, some things that stand out are her work ethic and dedication, not only in academics, but athletics, music, extracurriculars. She's engaged in her learning, she supports her classmates, and her accomplishments reflect that. She recently earned a perfect score for the music festival. I'm not sure how recently it was, but Ms. Ingebrigtsen pointed that out. And she was also awarded the Front Runner Award in cross country this year. So it's just obvious your passion, your commitment just absolutely shines through. I can tell you that Marissa is likely someone you will hear about over the next 4 years in high school and likely read about in the Mount Horeb Mail as she becomes a high schooler, because she is just truly a bright spot in this building. So Marissa, congratulations, we're so proud of you. So we have a couple teachers here. Mrs. Stoddard, 8th grade teacher, came with, and Mrs. Schlingen, came to support you as well, and I think you've got a couple of special people you brought with. Would you mind sharing who that is?
My dad, Ryan, my mom, Amy, and then my sister, Dana.
You have such a lovely family. You usually call Dad Ryan? We have on behalf of the Board of Education a certificate that I hope you'll find a nice place within your bedroom or someplace that you can showcase this, because you truly have left a positive imprint on this school and your fellow classmates. Let's give it up again. We go take a picture with Ryan and Amy. And how about their sister too? Can we include her? That'd be great. That'd be great. And then Mr. Craven, would you be willing to join us as well? And would love it if we could have our teachers join us too. Okay, let's do that. All right. Hey, Maria.
Yeah, they didn't have to do that.
You too. Christmas gift.
She's got 4-H. Yeah, 4-H. And basketball before this. Oh, really? Yeah. Not nice, it's not right.
So like, you come every other time?
Yeah.
Well, actually, this month, this is our only meeting this month.
Yeah.
I think it's more of a ask.
I text you guys a couple weeks, like, where are you? You'd be like, we're not meeting, remember? It would be the first time when I went to the wrong place for a meeting.
That's a positive experience.
Only person here. But I'm editing policies. No, Ryan goes, Mom, can you read my paper for me? I'm like, can you read your paper for me? I will if you like.
Yeah, we.
It was 8 pages after like page 4.
Yeah, there you go.
This is
Let's look
great.
at
I want to read
it.
it more.
That's really sad to see those go because
I'm guessing Harrison was up there.
Yeah.
West.
Matt was 2 years younger than me.
Years younger than you?
Yeah, I played with
Decisions on how much
Okay.
I deconstruct versus
we would play
Right.
all the rest of
Yeah.
the school.
Well, and it's a topic I don't know anything about, so that made it even hard. Like, I'm like, dude, I can write for grammar and punctuation, but as far as facts here,
Wouldn't always play
sentence
Easter
structure,
West.
100% can tell you.
Yeah,
One of his classmates, like, they peer review the
But we would all
paper,
play together.
and this kid, he's like, Mom, the kids that actually do this, and I'm like, you should not do what that kid said. Don't always listen to your classmates. And it's really bad. You think I have a problem because I get to come here and
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was like, yeah, that's not even.
Yeah, yep. So I played in all-star game against them up there. Yeah, mostly.
Awesome. And Mr. Christensen saying goodbye to the family, and we'll be back in a moment with some good news eventually.
Yeah, we'll wait a minute for him, yeah. That's great.
Board members, and also very grateful to see tonight Coach Finley in the audience. Coach Finley, as you know, has in the consent agenda request to take another trip to Florida. It's great. I love that.
Especially after the snow has shoveled this fest.
Yeah.
So,
Would you want to fill in any information about that, and then when it comes time for the board to go?
oh, yeah, for sure. So, going for spring break again, hoping to go, which would be Saturday, March 28th, we leave, and then, start practicing on, it'll be March 30th, and for that week over spring break, 5 days down here. This year we're trying to, get a game in, it'll be our second week of practice this year, so we can play starting next Tuesday. So we'll try and find a team down there in that area we can play a game against. We have a AAA team in Jacksonville that's got some home games, so we're gonna plan on taking the team and
parents, families to a AAA baseball game, and then we stay in at Hampton Inn and Jacksonville Beach, which is a nice pool and beach, nice flight area. So wasn't originally planning on doing this every year, but trying to think maybe a couple years. But every year the parents keep asking me and loving it, and we invite everybody. And as much as anyone last year, I think I heard from the freshman parents talking about how much they enjoyed it. But their kids got to really know the older boys who are real good role models, and the families able to connect down there and be away in spring break. So just come to ask for permission again, and we can set that up and answer any questions that you guys might have for me. So.
Did you build in a hurricane contingency for this year?
Luckily, they told us last year Jacksonville's never been hit by a hurricane. And usually they come in the summer to fall area, I guess. Usually in the springtime, we're pretty safe down there, so hopefully it continues, but yeah. So.
Having set up and chaperoned a number of trips in my day as a teacher,
Yeah.
I know that this is not a vacation at all.
No, it's not, but
Yet you keep on giving.
we have a great staff,
Yeah.
and the parents are actually going to lap up as well, so they know that are all good parents. We actually get most of the families that do go themselves and bring a lot of young kids, middle school age kids and elementary age kids with the family. So and last year I think we had just seven boys that went without their parents. So we had like 37, so it was about 30 families from Mount Horeb that all took over. So even some talk, if we can make this happen, that some 7th grade families might come down, because they got a lot of boys, I guess, that play baseball that have high school age kids as well. So they're hoping to get a little baseball, I guess, too, if we can make it work. So it's should be a good contingent of Mount Horeb baseball families down in Jacksonville. We can make it work. So I've never been before last year, and it'd be a nice, perfect spot. Pretty quiet area for spring break time. So in the Atlantic Ocean, so it was really a nice setup down there last year. So it worked out really well. And the practice fields are beautiful too. Nice turf, 3 turf practice fields with batting cages. And so it really did well for us last year. So we're hoping to make it happen again.
Board will take a vote on it in just a few moments.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for your thoughtfulness in coming to support your students. You do so much to make your team run so beautifully, and the sense of camaraderie is evident. I think that's a large ingredient to your team's success. Thank you. It comes from
Appreciate it.
We have Principal Christensen here. Would it be okay if we share a little good news?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Hello.
Hi, okay. Just a couple of things that I wanted to point out. First of all, athletics are fully underway. If you were here for the education committee before this, right? You probably heard them. They were in the hallway warming up, right, before the gym was available. So fully underway. Basketball is tonight. We've got home wrestling tomorrow. But that's underway. I will tell you, it's concert season for music. So we started that up. 6th grade had their first band concert, and a few others recently, including some of our morning groups. Chorale and jazz band are up and running. Chorale, that those both start about 7 a.m. And chorale has over 85 7th and 8th graders this year, which is beyond incredible. Recently, just a shout out to our 8th grade team of teachers and the support staff that works with 8th grade. They have done raking as a community service project for as many years as I can really remember. And this year was a bit tricky. They had to move it twice. Fall weather doesn't always cooperate, and 40 and rainy isn't the best time to get out there, but neither is 22 degrees even if it's not raining. So they moved that twice, but we're successful with that in the last, just in the past week or so. The other thing I would just say is our staff have really embraced some collective goals as a building this year, and taken the reins by the horns?
Bull by the horn.
The bull by the horns with the reins and all the stuff, and all the things you do with the bulls, right? So anyway, no, they have really just taken that and ran with it, and really started to work hard towards making sure that literacy is a focus in this building. They've got goals, they've shared them with kids, they've shared them with families at parent-teacher conferences. And then the last highlight, we are now however many months into the school year, and I can't tell you how great it is to walk around in the lunchroom and see middle schoolers without devices. And the feedback we've gotten from them as well has been unbelievably positive. Maybe not all the time, maybe not every single student, but overall, seeing adolescents learn how to socialize with each other rather than just stare at devices during the day has just been, it's just such a different feel in this building, not just in classrooms, but hallways and lunchrooms and all of that. So there's a few highlights from the middle school over the last couple of months. Thanks for letting me share.
Thank you for all that you're doing, and please express our gratitude to Associate Principal Ganinin when you see her. Oh, hello! You guys are a wonderful team together.
She helps out.
She's around.
Okay.
Thank you very much. All right, school news. Andrew or Jackie, would you like to lead us on?
I can start.
Great.
So I'll start off by saying forensics is getting into the swing of it. We've had our first meeting. I've already turned in all my paperwork. I'm super excited for it. We have dates pretty much down, and we are super excited to get going. And I know starting this year, we've started a American government class. I don't know if you guys heard. We have selected a Speaker of the House, which is really cool. I also want to give positive feedback to that. It's such a really fun class. Blood drive is coming up on Wednesday, so that's all I have.
That's all I've got too. Hey, Thanksgiving break was nice. That's all I got to say.
That's good. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Jack. Anyone else with school news?
I have a few items. If anyone's interested, there's still slots open for Wednesday morning's blood drive. All are welcome, and thank you to Jack as president of the student council for helping to organize that. That's outstanding. And I also want to mention, tough to get seats to this now, but see if you can do it. Wednesday morning at 8 o'clock, Carly Fisher and Adam Mertz will be joining Aubrey Hanks and myself at Good Morning Mount Horeb. Tickets are limited, you can probably get them on StubHub. For Good Morning Mount Horeb, we're going to present our proof points to our strategic plan. In essence, we went to that group, at the time President Aragoni and myself, to ask the community, what is it that you want to see in our strategic plan? And they told us, and this has been maybe 2.5, 3 years ago now, and we want to go back and share with them, you told us this, and this is what we've done, and here's where we want to go next. And I'm so grateful to have both of you in your leadership and getting us there. Wednesday morning, 8 o'clock, it's over at the, what's the name of the restaurant? Buckenheim's.
I was able to RSVP this morning. They're still available.
They're still available. All right, black market tickets. And then word has it, Mrs. Lipscomb could probably fill in. I hear that there's a PTO carnival next Monday night.
There is, from 5:30 to 7:30, but I think the last people they're letting in is at 7. I think it's $5 per kid, capped out at $20 for the family. There's going to be games and prizes, and I'm not working this event, so that's all I know.
Where's it at?
At the IC.
Can I bring my pet cat?
I think that you could get
I need
yourself
a
some
car.
money if you brought a camel. You could make us some money.
And lastly, Mr. President, I'd like to publicly acknowledge the outstanding work of our grounds crew. As you imagine, coming over Thanksgiving holiday break to give up all of Saturday in order to make sure that our students and staff arrived to school safely. Dodging cars that were already parked in the parking lots because our students were still involved in activities throughout the weekend. It's wonderful, but I want to acknowledge and thank, led by our very own Dave Reed, coordinator of building services, just a remarkable job to be doing it on your holiday break. All the more appreciated. Our pleasure.
All right.
I've got, I had kind of a long one. I did a visit to the IC back at the beginning of November, and so I thought I would give a little update on that. It was a great experience. I ended up going kind of toward the end of the day and stayed for an all-staff meeting, so it was fun to get to see the kids and then get to transition well. So as I got there, it was the speed bump during dismissal with Katie, where we just kind of stood in the center of the hall as the waves of kids came streaming out from all directions, going all directions. So, and then lots of them came to give Katie high fives and hugs and say goodbye. It was very cute. So the all staff meeting, it started off by reading, they also read a mission statement for the IC, but they have students read it and that they video and they play that at the beginning of the staff meeting. I had a few minutes to introduce myself and talk a little bit about the board liaison role, which was nice. They also started their meeting with an inclusion activity where we all partnered up and talked about a meaningful quote, a favorite quote, and then the leader of activity turned it into how we could be thoughtful about our rate of speech, and she mentioned that our number one struggle for our English learners is that the teachers talk too fast, and so it was a way to then kind of purposefully redo the conversations we had just had with our partners, but to purposefully slow down to get to a rate of speech that's easier for English learners to follow. We also did an exercise based on the forward exam. We all took a section of the ELA exam. I had a third grade one that was on reading comprehension. There was a discussion of the grade level groups of what our observations were, and there were there's a lot of discussion about that standardized test. Like, first of all, it wasn't super easy. I mean, it made me appreciate what our students do in those standardized tests, and what our teachers have to teach to in those standardized tests. And there was a lot of discussion specifically about special needs students and how do we adapt teaching to meet the student needs where they are, but then at the end of the day, they all have to take the same test. And how do you strike that balance with them? We talked about things like they're going to have to practice stamina over the year in order to take that test. They're going to have to practice technology because they do the practices on paper, but then they do the test on screen. How do you read boring passages, chunks of text of nonfiction or history or whatever? And then Katie gave an update on a preview of the IC report card, leading in some celebrations there. At the time, I think the results have been released publicly now. At the time, they were about a week away from being publicly released. But achievement scores of the IC are about higher than 77% of the state, which is great news. And target group outcomes on track for graduation in the upper third of the whole state. So good news to celebrate there. So that was my IC visit. Like I said, it was a really great way to just get to see at a deeper level what the staff are working on. So, the other two things that I have are on December 12th, next Friday, there is the kindness retreat that they need 27 volunteers for in order to pull off the fourth graders. So I don't know yet if I can do it in my schedule, but if your schedule allows, be a great opportunity to get in and work with students. And the IC is doing a Giving Tree drive through December 11th. I believe there are gift registries at, I think, Target. I can't remember one other place. I'll find it. If you just wanted to go to Target's website and look for a Mount Horeb Giving Tree gift registry.
They have one on Amazon.
That might be the other one, yeah. That's all I got.
Thanks, Carly.
Sarah, I think, is going out tomorrow to the high school, isn't she?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
I'll be spending the afternoon with high school.
Awesome. Carly, one question for you. The kindness retreat, what were the hours that people would get off of work?
About 7:45 until about 1:30.
It's totally worth it. Mark signed up.
Is that right? Yeah, you've done that before.
I did
right?
the 7th grade one.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, I'm real excited to see how the 4th graders do. Because the 7th grade one was, there was crying and like, kids were kids. It was a courage one. This one's a kindness one. But kids were saying stuff, and I was just kids that I've known since they were. I was like, that kid's not gonna talk. And they got up and they spilled their guts in front of the school. It was awesome. So I'm really excited about this kindness one.
Yeah, very cool.
I cleared my whole calendar. My boss called me. He goes, "What's a kindness retreat?" Because that's what I put in my PTO request. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm going.
Yeah, it sounds like they'll break the whole grade out into small groups, and so each adult will have a small group with like facilitated discussion, and then I think other than some like discussion facilitation that they'll give you, they basically just also need crowd control.
Fair enough. Thanks for the detailed report and for everyone for getting out to the schools. I know it's so important to have those interactions and be visible. Very cool. Any other school news from anyone? All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much. No citizens comments here, correct? Okay. Item 4 is personnel transactions. Dr. Solano, anything to note?
Yes, please, if you don't mind, board members, there's actually 3 attachments for you this evening. We have an addendum as well as a recommendation for administrative contracts. And you may recall last time the board received, very late in the afternoon, we received a retirement notice for Al Martin. Al, I know is a name you know because he's been a member of our school district since February of 1997. Just a jack of all trades. He is preparing to retire here. Actually, I think today is his first day of retirement.
Yeah, today's his first day.
Yeah, today's his first day of retirement. But I wanted to publicly recognize him on behalf of the administrative team and the buildings and grounds team. Knowledgeable, just friendly, salt of the earth fella. He served the Marines, and so we're grateful for his service there. Taken a lot of what he knew from that experience and put that to good use in support of our young people and the staff. Really remarkable man, and it's very well deserved, this retirement. We're grateful for his tenure with the district. So please join me in congratulating him for his service.
That's great. Thanks for highlighting Al. Thanks, Al.
Motion to approve personnel transactions. Second.
Got a motion by Jessica and a second by Leah. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Next up is our consent agenda, which includes the baseball trip as mentioned by Coach Finley.
Board members, also before you tonight, consent agenda, please allow me just to also recommend 3 4K contracts to the public. And then also our annual safety drill evaluations. A special note of gratitude to our principals and director of student services, Brian Johnson, for calling that data for us.
Any consideration of this one? We'd like to make a motion to pass.
So moved. Second.
All right, got a motion by Sarah and a second by Jessica. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great, motion passes.
Appreciate it.
Try to
Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Excellent. On to our discussion items. Our committee member reports. Tom, you want to lead us off with BGT?
Yeah, I would love to. BGT met on November 24th. We got a building and ground update that we were fully staffed. We discussed the retirement of Alan Martin that had worked here for 28 years. And his last day was yesterday, as we just have discussed. So shout out to him. Ground team, the grounds, we're getting the fields ready with grow mats on the fields. It helps in the springtime, getting them up and ready for all the spring sporting events. The snow and salting equipment was getting ready to use, and I'm sure it's been put to good use at this point with the big snowfall. And the staff has been handling many work requests coming from the buildings. And then we also got a transportation update. 2 CDL drivers are now fully licensed and doing their daily routes. And we added a new wheelchair van driver. Also, the staff and drivers are getting refresher training on winter driving and key winter practices such as when they need to plug in their buses, fueling, and things like that. The Wisconsin School Bus Legislation Day is at the end of January, and we'll have some folks going to that. We got an update on the electric bus. It is getting closer to being in the district. It's now in Dane County, so slowly but surely. And then we talked a little bit about the capital project update. We talked a little bit about the traffic alteration on Academy Street, and there was a question from the garbage truck folks on pickup on that route. And it seems they would need to go opposite way of the one-way street, but it sounds like it won't be a problem. They'll be doing it early in the morning, so that sounds like that would be managed okay. And then we talked about some future dates of importance. January 7th is the pre-qualifying contractors get their bids in, and Monday, January 19th, contractors get to walk through the building so they can do their bidding process. And then Monday, January 26th, they get a walkthrough addendums, and then February 4th, we will open up the bids. And then for this month, we will just get an email update instead of having a meeting on December 22nd.
All right, any questions for Tom? Thanks for the detailed report. There's a lot going on there. Joel, I know finance comes in odd times. We had it three weeks ago. I got one next week, but is there anything worth reinforcing for the group?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. So donations, obviously we approved the one that came before the whole board, stuff related to the laptops and some of the desktops that were there, but we also received a second donation from O'Reilly for some auto parts for our automotive program. So thanks for all of that stuff. We got the pleasure of speaking with Josh Bardian at PTMA. If you recall, that's the firm that we use for some of the additional investment related with funds and things like that. We got a very nice positive report with what's going on there. It looks like the investments are scheduled out nicely to fit the construction schedule as we look at it. It looks like that arbitrage opportunity is going to net a significant amount of money for the district. So that's through excellent leadership from Steve and Scott. We have that with them. There's more to come on that as well as it relates to possible additional cash flow management and things like that, leveraging that firm as a possibility for that. So that was something that was exciting. And then, of course, we had this come before the board already, the tax levy and the potential for being able to include some language in there about some of the voucher programs and things like that and what's happening in districts. So our next meeting is next Monday, December 8th, because unlike the buildings and grounds, we'd love to meet. No, it's just not on Christmas, that's all. So December 8th at 4:30 virtual. So.
Thanks, Joel. Any questions for Joel? The investment stuff was really cool. That was.
It's a very, thanks to the generosity of the community, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a very big win for our district. So,
yeah, another great sign of us trying to do everything we can to stretch the dollar and make sure it goes back into the district. Awesome. Jessica, safety and wellness.
Safety and wellness. We met on November 17th. We were fortunate enough to have two of the folks from Neighbors Helping Neighbors come present to us and talk with us for quite some time about all the ways they support our students, support the community through providing clothes, food, resources for housing or whatever need there might be. That it was informative and really powerful to have that here. It's an amazing organization. Then we had a policy update, policy 454, reporting child abuse, neglect, threat to school safety. That will be on our agenda in January. Brian gave us a brief update on Speak Up, Speak Out. Also, he talked about the fact that this month all the safety plans would be in our consent agenda that we just have passed. And as others have mentioned, he talked a little bit about the cultural awareness training that you've heard about in a few different communities now. And then Brian also shared that the Youth Frontiers is back, Kindness Retreat. And Dr. Salerno, I believe, in his last weekly update included the sign-up for anybody who can volunteer. Yeah. So, and we don't meet again until January. We're also not meeting.
Awesome. Thanks for that, and thanks for everything that the district does, all the administration to work with NHN too. I know there's some really great partnerships there that are going on. Was there any Parks and Rec? Did you have some?
We also met last week, and we had someone from the soccer club come and talk about soccer field maintenance. They might be reaching out to Dave Reed about borrowing a piece of equipment. They haven't already. I'm not sure. Not the soccer club, but the village.
Yes, they have.
Yeah. Then they're doing some work to try to become a more bike-friendly community and get an official designation, also in Third City. And then more directly related to our students, Grandma Foster is getting new playground equipment this spring. And lastly, the winter spring rec tag was released in case anybody wants to sign for it.
All right.
Also not meeting in December.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. 6B is our long-range facility planning. We have a special guest here tonight, Ryan Sands from Bray, going to give us a little bit of a walkthrough. Thank you for coming all the way out. Glad they
It'd be great for you here in person.
Yeah.
I was joking when I sat down, I always seem to pick the snowy days. Lucky, I guess. But it wasn't too bad, actually. Well, tonight's update is a little more on the brief side. We are, as we look at the schedule, we are towards the end of construction documents on all the projects. So we had our 75% milestone in November, and we're approaching 100%. We'll do a QA/QC review then, and then as was noted in the Building, Ground, and Transportation update, be issuing shortly after the first of the year on January 7th. We will have some of those milestones were discussed, and then get bids in February, and then have your selected general contractor mobilize pretty shortly thereafter. So be exciting winter, spring, beginning of 2026 as far as the project goes. Like we do every month, just kind of an update on where we are. So we are finalizing pretty much everything on that list, or close to finalized, I should say, as we wrap up the construction documents and prep the bid package. That is comprised of our construction drawings, so that's what probably most people think of when they think of construction documents. But there's also a pretty robust specification or project manual. The drawings, show plans, they show quantities of things, how things will go together. The specifications outline the different products that are acceptable, quality standards, warranties, how things should be installed, and all those types of things. So we're wrapping up all of that here in December. As was noted, we went through a general contractor pre-qualification process. We had really strong interest. We had 11 general contractors reach out to get the RFQ information from us, and we received 9 submittals, and then worked with the district admin team and the Building, Grounds, and Transportation Committee to narrow down to the 7 general contractors on the list there. We will have all 7, their contact information listed in our specifications, so all the subcontractors, product vendors, anybody else who would be interested in bidding the project will know that they should direct their bids to any or all of those 7 general contractors. And we'll send the construction documents directly to all 7 of them, and we'll also post them with a plant house called Builders Exchange of Wisconsin, so that will make them publicly available for any of the subcontractors or vendors that want access to the product information. We We've continued to work with the Village of Mount Horeb, so I think last month when I was here, it was the same night as the Public Works Committee meeting, where we had a petition for variance on the agenda for our driveway width, because we're still in the, I'll say the current zoning ordinance, and you're zoned residential, the maximum width is 24 feet. We want it to be at 32 to provide a little more turning radius for buses. So that was approved by the Public Works Committee on the 27th. And then more recently, on the 19th of November, we were in front of the Plan Commission. Thankfully, first on the agenda. We appreciate Dr. Salerno working with the village to make that happen. So that was 3 different submittals, the certified survey maps. That's something that the village requested. You currently have 2 properties, the ELC and the primary center, and they asked that we combine them formally as part of this project. Our conditional use permit, so that's again because we're zoned residential, just like we had to do here at the middle school and the high school back in 2017. We have to submit to amend that conditional use permit. And then the village design review is part of the Plan Commission submittal, so that's more looking at the site plan, the elevations, the materials we're using, all of those things. So that application was approved. There were a couple of things we were still solidifying with staff, and I think we've, as of today, resolved all of those as well. So it's just a little bit of coordination around some fencing, the trash enclosure, and a couple of things that we had more or less responded to the night of the Plan Commission meeting. So we're in really great shape. Appreciate the village's time as they've met with us on the formal stuff, and then also, as noted on the right up there, the conversations around some of the intermediate phases that we'll have to work through during construction, and the partnership that they've provided as we talk through some of the options for how to phase, how to still make the school safe to operate while we're doing the construction. So, all good news there. As far as next steps, kind of hit on the first one already. We're finalizing the construction phasing, so that will also be outlined in both drawing form and in our specifications to describe the phasing in a bit more detail. We'll have start and end dates for the different kind of sub-phases of construction, so that that's defined and bidders know the expectations when they're bidding on the project. That is something that back in 2017 we worked with the general contractor to massage once they were on board. They may have thoughts on slightly different ways to approach things or ways to potentially be slightly more efficient, but we want to make sure that everybody is kind of bidding apples to apples based on the schedule and phasing as we issue the documents. And then as Tom noted earlier, we're issuing the documents on the 7th of January. We're going to have a pre-bid walkthrough on the 19th, and then Dave Reed has graciously offered to provide some other opportunities for contractors to get in the building if they have additional questions or want to look at things in more detail during the bidding window. So those will be outlined in the specs as well, and then we'll receive bids on February 5th, and we'll shortly thereafter be able to make a recommendation to the board on a general contractor and get somebody on board to just get things going on site. So exciting times as far as the progress of the project. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
I feel like I should have questions to go.
That's quite all right.
Thanks for all your work on this, Ryan. I think that's testament to all the updates we've gotten along the way here. That really kept us informed. And thanks to everyone who's done all the work on the interim plan too. I know that's one of the tougher and maybe forgotten parts of the job.
Yes.
While the construction's in motion.
Yeah, and obviously, I do the board updates pretty typically, or Mark, I know has done a few of them, but we've got a team at the office that is very appreciative of the partnership and is excited to issue the documents and get construction underway. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We'll have another meeting of the building design team next Thursday, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, 11th, from 10 to noon at the district office. It is open to the public, also to the board members. If you would like to be a part of that, we can also get you a link to that as well. Happy to have you and your input. But we end where we begin, and that's in gratitude to you. Thank you, Ryan. And I know you'll be sticking around for some updates later on.
Yep, I'll see you in a little bit.
All right, thank you. Okay, item 6C, C and D, identifying evolving demographic trends and mental behavioral health, ATE, ODA awareness and support. Brian Johnson.
Alright, so this is, the first part is all of our student demographics, which are always kind of interesting to look at from year to year. But as you know, and we've talked about this a lot, is that our enrollment is declining. And so numbers, as you can see, are continuing to go down. When you look at this year's data, what I would hope is it looks like our senior class is the biggest, and then maybe do some stabilization for a while and maybe even improve. So that's kind of the hope that this year's senior class is by far our biggest class we have left, and then it kind of evens out a little bit. And so when you look at some of our student demographics and we go through it, you know, the race ethnicity remains relatively the same across the district. It's changing a little bit in the area of more students who are Hispanic, but relatively the same across all areas. And then in disability status, from the previous year, it has declined a little bit, but kind of more in alignment with the 22-23 school year, and significantly, it was kind of on this really upward trajectory, and then hopefully it'll stabilize kind of at about this level, but it's with significantly less students too, so. What I talked about, our students who are Hispanic have kind of continued to increase. With all of the drops in enrollment, our students who are English language learners has stayed exactly the same, pretty consistently. And then economic status over time is also one that had a slight decrease, but compared to previous years, it's still kind of a higher number for the district. And then
Brian, just real quickly on that one, do the numbers get affected by any government payouts during the pandemic or anything, or is this purely judged on income levels?
Income levels and self-report, which is always kind of the piece that, like, if people are doing better or have like something, like if they're in a good realm, they'll maybe don't have it, they'll report it on their own.
There are times, though, to your thoughtful question, when the federal government did some layoffs, they did allow a window of time for people to not just rely on their tax returns from the previous year, but report this new development in their life. That if their student did need access, we would provide them access despite of their. It happens from time to time when we see mass layoffs like what we saw here in the fall. So, or the spring and summer.
I'm just curious also, Brian, so I'm not sure how this works. So is any of this reported by the state, like for people who may be on Medicaid or different things like that? Does that factor into this at all?
Yeah, so I'm not sure of all the criteria, but there are students who, if you meet a certain threshold, you are automatically admitted into the program. So there is a direct admit component to it, but then most of the time you have to self-report and fill out the forms and the paperwork. And then our students who are homeless have also remained the same from the past few years. And so those numbers are not state reported, those are directly from our social workers who keep track of that and support those families.
You say that's probably the same students over the last few years?
Probably is, yeah. Although I do know that we are getting some younger students who are reporting as well. So a couple of turnover, but not all the same.
Brian, equally important is to explain the state definition of homelessness. Would you be able to share that?
Yeah, you bet. So really there's quite a few different areas, right? You do have, it really means that there's no stable housing component. So where most of our families fall into is doubling up. So that they're temporarily living with a relative, a friend. It's not stable, it's not consistent, and it could change at any time. We also have families who might have been placed, their residence has changed, they were put in another residence by the county, so it doesn't necessarily mean that they're homeless, but maybe they're put in temporary places that are constantly moving and they don't know where they're gonna go.
It's more like they don't have permanent stable housing.
Correct. And with that, and you probably talk about it in some of the budget reviews, then if we have a family who lives in Mount Horeb, and then they lose housing and they have to move to Verona and our school district for the remainder of the year have to pay for 50%, we each split 50-50 the transportation costs. So what's important for this is that the kids who are involved in not stable housing can maintain their school district as long as possible until the stable housing can be developed or it becomes unreasonable, right? So it means that we need to do it if they're in the Middleton or Verona or Madison, but maybe not if they're in Fairview or maybe, right? It just depends on the age of the kid too. And so we try to figure that out together.
Despite the team's best efforts, I would actually say that number might be a bit underreported.
Yeah, because again, this is another one where they have to self-report and let us know. There are some that we suspect, but then they'll be like, no, we're fine, we've got it, and don't want to acknowledge that fact as well. So when we're looking at some of the data, what was nice this year is, last year was the first year we kind of put in some of this like specific data on trying to track belonging. And if you remember last year, most of it was blank because we didn't have the data. And so now we finally have it. It's just a few years old and we've done new tests since then, but we don't need to go there. But really you can see that we now really have some baseline data. One thing that I do want to report at the bottom of this chart is I did update. So the previous one that you saw, the guided questions pieces at the bottom, at the intermediate center, they asked, do I feel included in my classroom? And do I have at least one adult that I feel comfortable talking with? And both of those, they did it in spring of last year and then fall of this year, and both of those increased by 4.3% and then 2.1%. And the school perception survey, it's the first one up there. They did it in spring to spring, and that was a 4.1 increase within a year. So we're seeing some students reporting positive results that they're seeing a difference. And then in the paragraph below, in the in the PC, they're doing a peer connectedness survey. So it's hard to ask kindergarten, first and second graders, do you feel like you belong? It's too abstract of a concept. And so what they do is they ask specific questions about positive peer connections. And so they ask, what kids do you like to play with in your classroom? Is there any kids you don't like to play with? And then they do specific targeted skills on developing for any students, or the students that are identified, they do some positive peer connectedness and try to build those relationships with kids. And then what Nicole stated was that overall they saw 3% positive student connectedness. And then the students that they specifically targeted saw a 13.2% positive increase. And then they said, like, the best story, right, is that they had one student who had a 29% peer connectedness increase, and he went from 0 positive endorsements to 5. And so, like, that's a super, you get some of those individual positive stories, but like that wouldn't have been done a few years back, right? So these are all kind of new things that since the board has kind of put in the goal about belonging and tracking it and doing specific interventions directly related to it. It's making a difference. And We're also, as you can see kind of from a little bit above and below, we're adding new assessments back in to really track the data. And one of them that's the most, been the most powerful data is the REST screener for 8th grade students. And so the REST screen, and it's a lot of training for our student services staff. They did all the training, went through, it's directly with Journey Mental Health. And then what happens is they do the screener and then they follow up the students who are considered at risk with really direct questions and kind of like almost like a survey to them, a one-on-one meeting to talk it through. And our student services team had said, you know, we've been meeting with kids. Some of these in particular, we've had a relationship for the last 3 years with them. And I learned so much new information because of the questions I asked. And so it was really considered positive. And then the students who still come out at risk or at need of more intervention, they run the CVITS group with our staff. And so that is the cognitive behavior intervention for schools training. And so it's kind of looking at some different approaches. And so it's been really positive. And so the last part of this is table number 2, and it includes all of the stuff that we're doing, focusing on mental health needs and wellness, and AODA training and supports. And then the very last row, those are all things that we're continuing to do that we've done in the past. And then the section that's in blue is what was new this last year. So it was brand new last year. Into this year, and that's the student connectedness surveys, K through 5. Sources of strength has been a really positive club that we're doing with kids, and we'll bring, at some point this year, we could bring some of our leaders in and talk to maybe safety and wellness about what that is all about and some of the initiatives that they're doing. But I've gone to a bunch of their meetings and they're like doing work and how to really show positive, try to change the narrative around positivity around mental health supports. The REST survey and CVITS, student referral form at the high school. This is kind of a work in progress, kind of keeping coming out, but students refer themselves or their friends, and then the team meets with anyone who's referred, so kind of trying to make it more formal. And then indirectly related, but the peer connectedness survey is just K2. So that's kind of what we got.
Brian, are we, for welcoming schools, is that still just a certain demographic of kids or age groups that we're using that in? Or is it K-12? Because I know it used to be just a...
Sir, do you know welcoming schools?
Yeah, it's elementary, a little bit in the middle school.
Okay, that's what I-
Mostly upper elementary.
That's what I thought.
focusing on more.
Okay.
So thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you for leading this charge. I love seeing the students take ownership of the work around sources of strength. In fact, I don't want to put either Andrew or Jackson on the, is that something you've heard about at school, and what are you hearing, may I ask?
Yeah, I've got a couple of friends that are in it and they like it. They've got a nice bulletin board too that I see every time I'm in the hallway, but they are starting a new project. So they sent out a school-wide survey. I don't remember exactly what it was asking because it was over a month ago, but it was pretty much geared around like, what are some of these like specific things that make you feel like grateful or like safe in the schools? And I think they're, hopefully I'm not spoiling anything, planning to do some sort of school project that can be viewable for the students in the hallway with that.
If there's anything we can do to help support that, let us know. We'd be happy to. Thank you to both of you for sharing that. Super job, guys.
Perfect, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. All right. Zero action items listed.
That's right.
How about that? And no meeting later in December, Joel.
Oh.
This is great. I didn't see any other citizen comments.
No, I hadn't, no. Mr. President, I did want to make mention of the fact that Director Esslinger is doing a super job of trying to coordinate personnel committee, maybe even before January. Some dates are being proposed, and maybe a 5:15 start time for that. We're trying to get staff members to be a part of those too. So more information to follow. Thank you for sending that out. We just don't have it listed on the schedule of the next meetings, as we're still going to submit that.
Great, thanks. As you can see, the list of the future agenda items, if there's anything else we want to put on there for discussion in January, it's always a good time for contemplation in December. So suggest a way, as noted by Joel, Finance Committee's meeting on December 8th, and then we are back on January 5th. Yes, that long break. We do have an item for a closed session today. Contemplated closed session per section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercise responsibility, and deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, to wit, construction budget review and superintendent's contract. So I would ask for a motion to go into closed session to discuss those items.
So moved. Second.
Leah with the motion, Jessica with the second. And this will be a roll call vote. Joel?
Yes.
Leah?
Yes.
Jessica? Sarah?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Carly?
Yes.
And I'm also a yes. Let's take 5.